Noah will never be able to walk, he'll never be able to talk, he'll never sit unaided, he won't raise his hands, touch anything, taste anything, or probably even know who his mummy is. He's got almost total brain damage, epilepsy, he's quadriplegic, and we think he's possibly blind as well. He can't swallow, so he's fed overnight by a pump into a button in his tummy.
Hi, how are you?
He was starved of oxygen. We don't yet know why he'd failed to take his first breath. He just didn't breathe when he was born. There was a point that I genuinely, totally and utterly believed that Noah's life would be better ended. It wasn't a selfish act at all. I think a lot of people think I wanted a way out. I'd be lying if that wasn't a part of it. But the overwhelming desire to end Noah's life was to end the horrendous suffering he was going through. And then, of course, I couldn't do it. And then I felt guilty because I felt selfish that I wanted him around because, damn that, I love him, you know. Yeah, I'm his mother. It's really quite hard to talk about, and I look now and think, thank God I didn't. Thank God I had the love of my husband, the support of my incredible family, because they got me through it.
The bottom line is that no one, not a single human being, should ever have to think that way about a member of their family. You shouldn't have to think that way, but there's no doubt that people do because of the response that we've had.
We're not talking about it because we want people to give us admiration or medals for what we do. Certainly not. It really isn't the case. I think people need to know that it's okay to feel like that. You know, there's a lot of difference between talking about ending your child's life and actually doing it. It's just that feeling of desperation is very common to people that have to deal with all manner of disability. One of the emails we received was someone who gave their child up for long-term foster care on the day she walked to the Humber Bridge because she really genuinely was going to jump off. And to hear these stories of people suffering like this is very frustrating. And actually, you talk about my motivation for the piece. Genuinely, because people need to talk about the issue of caring, long-term caring. I get carers allowance, I get £200, I think it's £200 a month carers allowance. But I gave up my job full-time to care for Noah, but I do try to work freelance when I can. But the problem is, if I do one day of work, I lose my entire carers allowance, not just one day's worth. So even though I care for Noah the 30 other days of the month, I will lose my carers allowance, which seems a bit odd. You'd think it would be pro rata. I just think the system needs a whole overhaul. The Prime Minister, the Leader of the Opposition, both have children with disabilities, and yet the bureaucratic hoops that we have to jump through to get a service, a referral, our carers allowance is quite ridiculous. I'm not sure whether Gordon Brown or David Cameron should bring their children into it. I personally don't think they should. But what they should do is bring their experience into it. We're raising money for Noah's School this afternoon with a charity movie screening for 50 children. So here we go.
It's easy to take carers for granted, I think, because we will always do the care job. We will always love our children. We will always take care of them, whether we are paid or not. We will always do that, and that happens across the country.
Every time he has a seizure, every time he gets rushed to hospital because of his breathing, every time we have to feed him through a button in his tummy, he's sick a lot. It's a hard life, and sometimes it's intolerable for him. And as a mother, that's really hard to watch.
Now, when Claire wrote about Noah on our website last week, it triggered an overwhelming response. Hundreds of Sky News viewers have contacted us about their own experiences. Michelle from Kettering, who has 2 sons with autism, wrote to us, "Just because we're emotionally attached to our children, it doesn't mean we don't feel or think these thoughts. It's not until you explain to people that you're still nappy changing your 14-year-old son that their jaw drops and you remember that your life is so different to theirs." Lisa from Worcestershire is a full-time carer for her 3-year-old son who, like Noah, has cerebral palsy. She found comfort in Claire's story. "I find that if you really say how you really feel to anyone, you're immediately ridden with guilt. Yet your story has opened a door for me to express how I feel." Paul from Northern Ireland also has a severely disabled son who spent his early years in and out of hospital. We're now at the stage where Peter is 10, has a wicked sense of humour, and is a danger to anyone who strays into his path while he's zooming around in the place in his wheelchair. And Tracy wrote in to say, I've had the great privilege of working with children with cerebral palsy, and although it's one of the hardest jobs that I have ever done, it is the most rewarding. The kids are forgotten by the government, and the constant battle to get someone to listen is never ending. But I, for one, will never stop trying.